Hello everyone, and welcome to our first episode of the Diabetic Touchdown, which is a safe place for all diabetic people and everybody learning about what diabetes is. There's no right or wrong answer here, it's just purely a safe space. It's said from Diabetes UK, more than 5 million people have diabetes within the UK, and an extra 850,000 people don't know they have diabetes, and that's around 10% of the UK that either have diabetes or are currently undiagnosed. Yet with all these people being diagnosed, there's still lots of stigma around and stereotypes about people with diabetes, and most people don't even know what diabetes is. And this makes living with diabetes even more challenging and dangerous and paints the completely wrong photograph of it. People believe about diabetes go from thinking of unhealthy people to eating McDonald's, instead of having a little hamburger, having, those big burgers, sugars and fats, and only affecting certain people. And diabetes is all the same, which of course it isn't. Here today, I'm joined by Hannah Le Roux, and we will be sitting here discussing about diabetes and the stereotypes and answering all the questions that you may have. Types of medical equipment with diabetes, and finally, anything that you would say to somebody who is struggling with diabetes. Anything you hear on this podcast, I must emphasise to you, is not from a medical professional. I am certainly not a medical professional, for goodness me. Hannah is not a medical professional. So whatever you do, seek help from a professional. We are just here to have this conversation. If you need any extra information, please do not hesitate to go online, get your phone, get your MacBook, get whatever, and look on Diabetes UK, or talk to your doctor. You may have heard of diabetes, and you'd be right to think of type 1 and type 2. However, there are so much more types as well, so let's delve deeper. Diabetes is a chronic long-term disease that happens when the pancreas does not produce enough insulin, or when the body cannot effectively use the insulin it produces and makes the blood glucose too high, or in fact too low. Glucose is the main source of energy. You get glucose from eating food, but also you can make glucose from your own body. Some types of diabetes are, as I said, type 1 and type 2, but we also have some other ones that you may not commonly think of, this being gestational diabetes and pre-diabetes. Some other diabetic causes are if you had a change in genes, and I don't mean the genes you buy in Primark, I mean your actual body genes. Or if you had surgery to remove the pancreas and any damage was caused during this process. Type 1 is when your body makes little to no insulin due to your immune system attacking and destroying the cells that produce the insulin. It's like a war battle, pretty much. Type 1 diabetes is usually diagnosed in young children to young adults, but you may develop it at any given age. When you have type 1, you need to take insulin every single day to stay alive. There are no risk factors for type 1. Type 2 is when your body makes insulin, but not enough insulin, and is the most common type of diabetes. It's said some people can reverse type 2 by losing a bit of weight, so by going to the gym or cutting down their nutritional stuff, eating properly, and overall just having a healthier lifestyle. But please do remember, it's not a cure, it's just how to mitigate it. The risk factors of type 2 are being overweight, having a family history, and not eating properly. So this is why I'm saying you need to watch what you eat. You can develop this again at any given age. For example, you go to Tesco's. You want a meal deal that costs £3.50. But you've only got £3. Just like that. Just like type 2 diabetes. You have the money, but not enough to buy your meal deal. Gestational diabetes is a type of diabetes you develop during pregnancy and goes away when the baby is born. But you have a high chance of developing type 2 diabetes. Pre-diabetes happens when you have a higher than normal glucose level and you are at the risk of developing type 2. So again, you can see there that type 2 is pretty much the most common one. Type 1 is mainly, if you know you have it, you know, but type 2, anybody could really develop. Let's talk symptoms. If you think you've got diabetes, then you may identify yourself with the 4 T's I'm about to say. These are the common symptoms: tired, toilet, thinner, and thirsty. You can also get other symptoms, though, that other people may not be aware of. These include blurry vision, numb tingling hands and feet, very dry skin, and cuts and sores that heal slowly. Symptoms can develop from a few weeks to a few months, and diabetes can be, at the end of the day, utmost severe. Remember, if you experience any of these symptoms or are struggling with them, please speak to 111 or a medical professional at any time. After that massive monologue that I just gave you there, Hannah is still here. Let's speak to Hannah about her journey of diabetes. So, hello, thank you for joining us today.
Hello.
How did you go about finding out that you got diabetes?
Well, 5 years ago, I was diagnosed in 2019, and I was actually quite sick. I needed to go to the toilet the whole time. I was really thirsty. Yeah. I couldn't eat. I was like really like, I couldn't go to school. I couldn't walk.
So pretty much going back to the symptoms that we've just said.
Yeah.
Pretty much the 4 T's and also those other symptoms.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my mother obviously didn't know that I had diabetes.
Of course.
So she just thought I had food poisoning. And I was at home for a couple of weeks. And obviously, we didn't know I had diabetes. And when you're sick, you usually have flat Lucozade.
Yep.
And I'd be drinking that Lucozade. I'd have oranges and apples the whole time. But that's obviously really sugary. And obviously, I didn't know that I had diabetes. So I would just be more fatigued, more tired, more sick.
So you're making yourself worse in a way, but you obviously at the time you didn't know, but you in essence were making yourself worse.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And then after that, I had to go to school on the Monday because I had a week off.
Oh wow!
And on the Monday, I thought I had a clot in. Like, I thought I had a blood clot because how I was walking, my grandma was diagnosed with like blood clots when I was younger.
So you were using that experience to compare it against yourself?
Yeah. Okay. So I couldn't walk. I couldn't properly to school. And when I got to school, I almost collapsed actually. Like I was really, really exhausted. So when I saw my teacher just walking through the gardens, I told her like,
something's not right here, kind of thing.
I need to go to the nurse. And then when I went to the nurse, I was just grey. I was pale. I couldn't walk or move. And my mum just kept thinking I was faking it. So my mum picked me up from school. She was forced to go to the doctors, obviously. So we went to the GP first. Yep. And I couldn't stand up, so I was just sitting on the floor.
Oh, wow. So they saw it firsthand, pretty much.
No, actually, the GP said, sorry, we can't see you. We're busy. We're full. So they said, we'll see you next week. So my mum was like, we can't do that. No. So we went to the hospital, and my mum was like really annoyed because you know how parents are, like they'll be saying, oh, why are you not at school? Oh, you just want to stay away. So usually sometimes I'll back chat her. I'll be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And really annoyed. But I was just sleeping. I was so tired. And my mum was like, something's actually unwell. She's not back chatting me. She's like, actually unwell. So when I got to the doctors, I was trying to walk, but then I was like so dizzy. I was walking a bit. I had to stand. Right. So I almost collapsed in the hospital. And when I went to the child parts of the hospital, I was seen straight away. And they checked my blood sugar, they did all of that. And they said, you were really lucky. If you waited any longer, you'd actually be dead. You were so close to dying. God. So I was like, oh my gosh. And my mom was like, you're diabetic? She was so hysterical. She was crying. But obviously...
it was a massive relief to you, I can imagine.
So I learned how to deal with it. I was in drips and all of that.
It was a whole... From that point on, you knew what that label was. And you went on an educational journey yourself in a way.
Yeah. I was actually like, before I got like sick, whenever I'd be in like, let's say, English class, I'd be writing, but my hands couldn't work, so I'd be like shaking the whole time. I'd be like, oh, so I'd have to like stop, and I was like so emotional because I couldn't work properly. I couldn't. I was like so tired the whole time, and that's like a couple weeks to maybe a couple months before that. And my hands, I remember I made my brother a cake for his cake competition, and obviously it won because but because
big up the bigger sisters there.
Yes, when I was trying to like roll the marzipan and all of that, and making the icing, the icing you make. Big one. I thought, oh, maybe I just have like something stuck on my skin, like after, like that's after like a couple weeks after. Okay. So like my skin was just like peeling off, and I didn't know why.
So that's the dry skin thing that we talked about earlier, right? Okay.
I have cats, obviously, and whenever my cats would scratch me, it would leave big marks and it wouldn't heal. So I was like, like obviously when your cat scratches you, it like maybe a couple hours later it'll scab over or be fine. Yeah. But no, my cuts were getting infected. It was like turning into even bigger. It looked like I like got a glass and I just like started.
Of course.
But obviously my cats were like just attacking me, and I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, I guess in a way it was sort of everything was coming at you, kind of. Yeah. It was a massive. I guess in a way it was sort of everything was coming at you, kind of. Yeah. It was a massive attack on yourself and your body, and obviously at the time you were still learning to deal with it. And I can only imagine it was quite frightening, really. That's what it seems. Okay, right. So we've obviously spoke about the journey, but what's your routine with dealing with diabetes? So say on your day-to-day basis, what's your routine?
Usually, like at the moment, I'll wake up during the night with my alarm going off because my blood sugar's either too high or too low.
And this could be any time of the night?
Any time. It could be during the day, during the night, any time. Okay. And that'll go off sometimes. Yep. And then I'd have to, if it's too high, I'll inject myself or drink some water, try to get it down. But usually I can feel if it's too high because my mouth feels like I've eaten too much sugar. Right, okay. And I need to go to the bathroom a lot. Right. Because my body's trying to process it.
Of course, yeah. It's like your body's under attack in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And after that, when I actually get up in the morning, like for school or something, I'll first check my blood sugar and I'll do that, like that part. Then I'll obviously get dressed and do my normal, like everyone's routine, brush your teeth, brush your hair, make yourself all clean and stuff. And I'll have my pump, so I have to find a way to keep my pump in. Okay. And after that, I'll usually go downstairs. Sometimes I'll drink some water. Sometimes I'll have like a cracker or a little breakfast bar or maybe some milk just to keep me over.
So each day's different in a way to begin off with, right?
Yeah. Okay. And then after that, I'll usually obviously go to school, go for the bus and stuff, and by the time I get to the bus, my blood sugar's low again, so I have to drink some glucose or have a little dextro tablet.
So when you say you drink glucose, is that like Lucozade?
Yeah, it's like Lucozade, but I have a little glucose bottle. Okay. And it's called Lift, and it comes in many colours. My one is like a green one, and it's like lime and lemon, so it's really, really sweet and really, really sour. It's like you have to just take a normal shot, like... all done. Wow. So sour, so sweet.
And do you, with this then, do you get that from the doctor when you're diagnosed, or is it a repeat prescription, or do you have to buy it yourself?
It's a repeat prescription, but because how much I go through, my doctors aren't happy with having to keep going through them. So
yikes! Okay.
Those left things, you get from the doctors as a repeat. You also get this glucogel. Right. Okay. It's more of a more severe thing, or I usually use it if I don't have any more glucose left because it's something to use.
If it's in like an emergency sort of situation.
And it's just like this thick glue, pasty, toothpastey sort of thing. Okay. Squeeze into your mouth. It's like It's shaped as, you know those little children glue bottles?
Yes.
With the little top and you go, it's shaped as that. And when you pour into your mouth, it goes out like that, like actual glue. Wow. It's like tasting glue.
Oh.
It's like, obviously it doesn't taste like glue. It tastes really sweet.
I mean, I like sweet, but not too sweet.
No.
It's okay, that's an interesting one. And I guess this ties in, actually, because I was just thinking about it. Obviously, you have to live your life as normal as possible.
Yeah.
Right? You have to get up day to day and all that. But when it comes to special occasions, let's say Christmas or your birthday, right? How do you deal with it? Because I can imagine, say with a birthday, obviously you have a massive birthday cake and stuff like that. But how do you deal with that? I'm intrigued.
Well, talking about this, Easter's coming up, so...
Yes, sorry, that's a very good point, actually. Yeah,
usually you'd get an Easter egg for Easter.
Yeah,
and with me, obviously a big Easter egg's very sweet, so much chocolate, and it's really hard to go, okay, I'm going to eat 1/4 of this, because how would you automatically go, I'm going to eat 1/4 of this?
No,
so it's really hard to obviously navigate, but usually what I do is I'll get like myself a little bowl, let's say for Easter, and I'll like obviously crush my egg, put like a little bowl, like 20 grams, and I'll calculate how much the 20 grams is. But like usually I'll say like this is at the back of the box, 100 grams is this, so I have to calculate 20 grams of the 100 grams, and that can be quite hard, obviously, because how are you meant to go like, okay, this is 79.3. Let's find 20 grams of the 100 grams for 75.
You've got to do so much maths and
Yeah, so I'll have to constantly doing ratios, maths, division, multiplication all the time, every day, no matter what.
That would drive me up the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, no.
But I feel like with like special occasions, let's say for one day I want to go out for my birthday or something, or it's someone's birthday, it's honestly really hard because let's say we get off at the bus. Yeah. I don't know, we're in central London. We have to walk a mile to the bus stop. My blood sugar's already low, so then when we're eating at a restaurant, I'll have to calculate, okay, my blood sugar's low, but then this is 70 grams of carbs, I'll have to take out 15 grams of that, but then this is pasta, so then I know that the pasta will make my blood sugar go up even high, but then I know that if I take too much, my blood sugar will go low, but then if I take too little, my blood sugar will go high, but then I also have to think about, let's say I have to walk a mile back to the bus, my blood sugar is going to go low then, so then the insulin that I've just used is going to make my blood sugar low, but then if I take too little, it's going to go high, but then what if I want desserts? And I'll have to think about the sugary dessert as well, but then I'll have to think about 5 hours later, what if I'm...
the longer term impact kind of thing, right?
I'm thinking about 5 hours, 10 hours later, if I'm just sitting on the bus for an hour, what am I doing? My blood sugar is going to go high, so then if I'm eating the pasta, I have to think about the 5 hours later, on the bus, but then walking to the bus stop, but then if I'm eating... So it's really difficult to obviously do, but then you manage to do it.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Especially...
Over time it becomes not necessarily easier, but it becomes easier to manage, I guess, doesn't it? Right. Okay.
Yeah, it gets a lot easier after you're used to doing it.
Okay. After
a long period of time. It was especially difficult for me because... if I wanted to wear like trousers or whatever, because I have more fat obviously in my legs or in my arms, I usually injected in my legs because I'd have to get a needle, I'd have to prime it and use the actual needle and stick it in my leg. But I'm in central London or I'm on the bus. Where am I meant to put it?
No, of course. And I guess, especially with central London, if I saw somebody sort of injecting themselves, I'd think, it would raise alarm bells to me as somebody just going about my day-to-day business. But I guess, again, this ties in quite nicely to the next thing, and you've touched upon it brilliantly. But what else are the biggest challenges when you're a diabetic? Because obviously you've just touched upon, too much, too little kind of thing. You've got to get it bang slap in the middle. You've got to get it perfect. But what are the other big challenges that you face as a diabetic?
I think there's some challenges that I might have faced, especially when I was newly diagnosed. I was really, really scared of like eating with people or stuff.
Right. Okay.
Like, or going out. So let's say I'm at school. I used to actually eat in the nurse's office alone because I'd be really embarrassed and scared to have to take out my pens, having to take out everything and inject. And I think that's something that being a diabetic, and then being a diabetic when you're younger, not young, but not having to grow up from a very young age, but being like in high school and all the bullying that you usually get.
You worry about the judgment, don't you?
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe when you're going outside, like you said, like if you saw some random person injecting, you might think, oh, maybe they're doing drugs. But that's what I have to face every day. The stares, the looks. I have a patch on my arm, like on this side right now. I've got a patch. And if I wear, let's say, a top that shows my arms, I feel really embarrassed because you've got some massive white patch on your arm. Or if you want to wear a long dress, I've got my pump on my stomach. I'm going to have to take that pump out, put a new pump on my arm, and having to wear like my pump on the side of my dress. But then I can't walk around, I can't drink, I can't dance, I can't do anything because it's inconvenience, it's in the way. So I think that's quite a challenge.
And just touching upon that, actually, it's just sparked an idea in my head. What, and again, I know, being quite good friends with you, I saw it a little bit firsthand, but again, I don't know your version of events and your experience. But when you go through an airport, talk to me about that, because we went, just for the viewers, we did go on a trip to LA, and of course, when you go through security, there is a little bit of a different approach when it comes to people with equipment on and stuff like that. And Hannah has got medical equipment on her, and talk to me what goes on behind that.
So when I'm at an airport, when you're going through security, firstly, when you're at an airport, I have to bring one bag for obviously my normal stuff, a big bag, and then everyone else gets their little hand luggage. But my hand luggage is full of medicine, so I only get room for that one big bag. But I was actually told recently that you can actually get 2 hand luggage if you've got medical equipment. But I've got a big bag just full of needles, equipment, insulin. So insulin has to stay cold, so you have to put it in an ice bag with ice and all of that.
So it's got to be like a really specialist bag.
Yes, and like a normal ice bag, like sort of lunch bag you usually get.
Okay.
So that's what I use. But when you go through security, I can't go through this X-ray machine.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to point out to the viewers and listeners, because whilst I went through the big security thing, if you've been to an airport, you know what I'm chatting about. But as I looked back, all I saw was Hannah getting taken to the side. So, what happened? Is it a manual screening or what happened?
Well, actually, when I get taken to the side, I have to get patted down, like actual touch pat.
Oh, so like a proper manual search.
Yeah, and then they have to go through my hands. Or they have to go through usually they go through my clothes and tap my clothes. And obviously I'll be wearing trousers because I find wearing the trousers a lot more comfortable, or joggers. So then they have to go through my whole legs and stuff, my shoes. My shoes have to go through security, and they have to be tapped down. Then my actual pump has to be tapped down with those little drug machines. So they have to scrape my hands, scrape all the things that I might have. And then I go through that. But then with my big luggage, that's already gone through. So then that's at the end being searched and everything. Because that has to be searched because it's got insulin, so it's got liquids, it's got needles, it
has to be very
medical devices.
Specialist.
So the problem sometimes that I face is some of the devices that I might have in my bag cannot go through the actual X-ray as well sometimes.
X-ray, right,
so but then I can't carry it with me. So then usually I'm just like, okay, I hope and pray that this does not break because I can't afford another one. And
no. Of course
but
not.
it's the same with, I feel, people with like heart pacemakers. They can't go through the security either. But like I have the equipment on my arms, I've got the equipment on my, like in my body and everything that goes through. So I have to pat down, and then it's not fun, especially.
No, of course not.
And the patting down that I received in America, going back to the UK. Oh my god!
I can imagine.
They like, this is very TMI, but they got their hands and they went through my butt. Yeah, they went through my butt. They went through everything in my legs.
Okay.
They went into my bra and stuff. And
wow. Okay.
yeah, so that was not very fun.
I mean, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that was not very fun.
I mean, it's good that they've got high alert of security,
but that was not
but
fun.
There's a limit.
Especially when you're standing in front of everyone, getting some like.
They should take you to a
female.
Yeah. I was just going to say they should really have taken you to a private room.
Yeah.
To have that done, because I guess if you got all your friends around you, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it was. But I'm guess. I do understand that it's America. They do have to go through
of course,
security,
it has,
but
yeah, of course.
it's not fun. It's really not fun.
Of course not. And again, linking beautifully onto the next point that I've got here. So we mentioned about your medical equipment. What medical equipment is it, and what do you use it for, and why do you use it?
Well, there's actually many different types of medical equipment. When I started off with diabetes, I had a pen, like I talked about. You have two different pens, a night insulin and a normal day going around insulin. The night insulin is very important. It's a long-lasting insulin.
Okay. Because obviously you'd be asleep and...
it goes for the whole 24 hours. It's like a protection. So if you, let's say, your blood sugar's a little too high, and obviously you're injecting in stuff with the needles, throughout the whole day you can't get insulin going through your body the whole time. So that insulin lasts the whole time.
Okay.
And then you have a normal pen.
Yep.
The other pen that it's for... when you're eating, when you're carb calculating, you have to calculate all of that, and then you put it into your body. But usually, you'll have to learn how much your actual ratios are. So mine is 1:7 usually. So every 7, so when it goes to 7, every 7 above that, I have to take one insulin. So 14, 21, 28, all of that.
Okay.
And then it obviously changes the whole time. So I talked about the pens. I also have pumps. The pumps that I am currently using is the Medtronic MiniMed 640G.
Okay. It's
a little buttoned pump. It looks like this.
And for those who are only listening, we'll put a link in the description of that,
It has the little buttons, and I liked it because little buttons.
Little buttons, and you could press it. And
I felt more secure with the buttons than the phone screen sort of thing, because I've experienced with my Libra, my patch, you have a screen. The screen doesn't always work. You'll be tapping the whole time, and it just breaks down. And then let's say I'm out and I need to get insulin in me. I can't do that by just going, give me insulin. I have to actually go through the phone. I have to go tap, tap, tap and put the insulin. And if that screen's broken, I can't do that. So I felt less secure with that. So I preferred something that I could actually touch. But there's also many other like electronics that you can have. So you have patches. I have the Freestyle Libre 2.
Okay.
There's a Freestyle Libre 3 coming out, so
very excited.
Get that, yes. But I've always wanted this Dexcom. Like, I'm getting all nerdy about different medical equipment, but I really want this Dexcom, the G6. This Dexcom G6 is a 24/7. It tells you everything, but just like the Freestyle does, but I've experienced that the Freestyle doesn't work for me always, so it'll tell me that I'm like, let's say 21, which is really high, but I'll really be, let's say 7. And that's very dangerous. When your normal limit is between like 4 and 7 or 4 and 8.
Okay.
And if you're, and you don't have to obviously inject when you're in that little area.
Uh-huh.
But then let's say it tells you you're 21, but then you're actually 7, you give like something for like 2 or 3 units for that. That's really dangerous because that will bring you down real fast. And
of course.
You'll go into a coma. When your blood sugar's low, you can go into comas.
Yeah, of course.
Or if your blood sugar's too high, you can go into a ketonating shock. That's where you...
Oh, wow.
It's
I've
really
never,
dangerous.
not gonna lie, I've not actually heard that one before, but that's interesting, that one.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's pretty much, it all ties into other sort of medical stuff where, you know, if you don't look after yourself, you could risk those shocks. You could essentially risk your life, pretty much.
Yeah. So it's a 24/7 job all the time. We don't get a minute off it.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel like right now I'm a bit a little bit high, but then I also feel like I'm a little low.
Okay.
But obviously, I can't exactly do anything if I don't have any glucose with me. So,
of course.
Like, if I was too high, what I would do is, like, I'll go into my screen and it would tell me, like, my phone would tell me, oh, you're 21. I tap my screen, I put in 21, and then it tell me automatically, you need 3.6 units.
Right, okay, so it tells you right, okay.
But everyone's different. Like, my usual levels of being okay is between, like, 4 and 10. When I hit 4 and 10, that's my normal range. Obviously, everyone else is different, but if you're not diabetic, you need to be between 4 and 7. If you're above 7, then you could be pre-diabetic, and that's quite dangerous. You need to get checked out for that. But it's just like, when you eat something, more of a, what's it, like a carby food.
Yeah. So anything like pasta or would potatoes?
Yeah, potatoes definitely.
Okay.
More carby food brings your blood sugar up. Even if you eat, I don't know, sweets or fruit. It has fructose, which is a sugar in fruit, so it brings your blood sugar up as well. But it really differs, like, for everyone. But if you're not a diabetic, you really need to stay between those 4 and 7, 4 and 8.
Those are the key numbers in essence.
Yes.
Okay.
That's very important to stay with that. So
right. Okay.
Because you don't want to be a diabetic. Honestly, it's not fun. Even though you get the cool gadgets and you get to have all the little cool things, and sometimes you get to go through security a lot slower than everyone.
It's not you're not recommending it.
No, don't become diabetic.
Well, I guess in a way, those of you who do have it, you'll probably know by now or are in the process. But if you are sort of watching your weight a little bit, and maybe it's time to, just keep exercising, keep, eating those healthier foods rather than like the carbs and stuff like that. Obviously, carbs are important, but you need to find the right balance. I think that's what we're saying. Okay, then. Right, one final point that I'd like you to make is any advice to anyone who may have, say, got their diagnosis quite recently, or are in the process of getting their diagnosis, or have already had it for a long time, or just any advice to diabetics out there in the world?
I would say, firstly, stay strong and stay healthy, and remember that you can eat everything. You can eat anything you want, but obviously regulate how much you eat.
Okay.
Sometimes. Cool. But obviously, if it's your birthday, you can have a little bit more of a cake.
There's allowances kind of either side, just as long as you're quite strict with yourself, I guess.
Yes, and I would also say be kind, because
of course,
obviously you're going through something that's really rough. It's long term. It's not very nice, obviously, but
of course not.
Some days you may have up and downs. Your blood sugar may go from 16 to 4, or from like 30, which is not very good, to 2 real fast, but that's normal. It's not normal, but be kind to yourself.
Okay.
Don't stress if you can't get your blood sugar all okay all the time. It's going to like fluctuate. It's going to go up and down all the time.
You just need to get used to it in a way. Okay. And I just wanted to add on to that, for those of you who are supporting, say, loved ones or friends with diabetes, be kind to them, be kind to yourself. They're going through as much of, I guess, a mental battle as the friends are, you know. But you all got this. I think that's the key message. You got this. There is support out there, as we've echoed all throughout this podcast. You know, you got this. You really have got this. And that was an amazing episode and a really in-depth dive into diabetes. So thank you so much to Hannah for sharing your experience and your opinions, etc., about diabetes. And if you enjoyed this episode, it goes without saying, please comment, like, and subscribe for more content. Remember, anything you hear on this podcast is not from a medical professional. And if you do need any information, please look on Diabetes UK or talk to your doctor, or do both. Remember, every disability is not visible. Take care. Thank you for watching and listening.